It's a miracle.
Yeah, what a miracle that is, dude. Oh, shit, hold on. I do want to watch this, though. This is apparently exactly in the same light as that one.
Why don't you just try to work as hard as you can at your damn job for like 6 weeks, right? All flat out. You know, if you work 10% longer hours, you make 40% more money.
False. Straight up false. Absolutely made up. He did not get that statistic from anything, okay? That is a completely made up false statistic. The only thing that is real in this situation is the top of the hour ad break, okay? If you get a subscription for $5 a month or for free with a Twitch Prime, you have a chance to 100% avoid the top of the hour ad break, okay? Obviously, you have a 25% chance of avoiding the ad break if you get like a gifted sub. That's right. I made up that statistic. That's not a real one, but hey, you can play that game as well. But at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. If you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. If you don't get gifted a sub like from one of Cult of Pizza, here's the 1-minute ad break. Now, Jordan Peterson gets emotional. It will give you goosebumps. Listen carefully. Thank you, Sills Design, for the 5 gifted subs as well.
That's something worth thinking about. You know, you've got a job. Maybe you show up 15 minutes early and you leave 15 minutes late.
Why? There is absolutely zero reason. What is hilarious to me, okay, I'll just say this. A lazy worker is a smarter worker than one who works hard unconditionally. Okay? Because if you are doing wage labor for someone else, and this is going to be very frustrating for people because your entire life people have told you have to work hard. You have to work harder than everybody else, and like you'll be gifted, you'll be celebrated. Like people will fucking give you, people will venerate you. They'll accomplish, they'll love how much you've accomplished. Blah blah blah. This obviously does not extend to people who are working for themselves, okay, or working on themselves rather. But I'll tell you this much: a lazy worker is technically smarter than a harder worker. Because the reality is that you as a worker want to work the least amount of time for the most amount of pay. It's normal. And your boss wants you to work the most amount of time for the least amount of pay. Okay? This is the antagonism and the conflict of interest built into the heart of capitalism, this system. Okay? So anyone who tells you like when you're working, you got to work super fucking hard, you got to fucking do everything you can and you'll get paid more, that's bullshit. No, you won't. And you will certainly never get paid exactly the amount of value that you bring with your labor. That will never happen. Why? Because of what is known as profits. A company cannot have profits if they pay their workers the fair due. If they actually pay their workers exactly how much money their workers are generating, then there's no profits. Okay? Profits are surplus labor value extracted from the workers. That's just it. Simple as. Simple as. All right? Simple as, prof. What about the capital that the capital is risk, though? I don't give a fuck about the capital that the capital is risk. There are already protective mechanisms there. And the thing that capitalists are fucking risking, ultimately, is to become a worker once again. And man, they will literally, they treat that like it's death. Why? Because they know how they treat the workers. That's why. It's not like when you lose your capital, you get fucking killed. It's not like when you lose your capital, you fucking go to jail. When you lose your capital, you risk becoming a worker once again. And because you, the capital owner, absolutely destroy all of your fucking workers and exploit them and take their surplus labor value, you do not ever want to get back to that position. Every capital owner that owns a small business, that owns a big business, knows this reality. That the biggest fear that they have in their heart of hearts is to one day become a worker again to a boss like themselves. That's it. Perception of working hard is more important than actually working hard. Learned this a couple of years ago, and I've gotten promoted more, but work less. Yeah. So the irony is that the people that are working less at the fucking at the racism factory are technically working smarter.
You know, and you actually
Comes from a guy who's never had a job. That's right, baby.
work, and your boss notices, because he would probably notice, and then maybe someone's going to get promoted, and maybe it'll be you, because something's going to tilt the scales, and that little extra bit of work done without cynicism and resentment might be enough. Well, he said he started at 21 bucks an hour, and in 6 weeks he was making $37 an hour. And it's not a king's ransom, man, but it's a hell of a lot more than zero, and it's quite a lot more than 21. He said his life had turned around substantially because he learned if he put some damn effort into it. And I'm not trying.
Oh, the personal anecdotes of a singular individual that was rewarded for working harder by a boss that noticed is actually what we should pay attention to in this circumstance, despite it going against their best interest to do so.
To be Joe Optimist here. Like, I know that people hit runs of bad luck and that things can take you out of life, right? Unfortunate illnesses and betrayal, and like there's no shortage of randomness and horror that can wipe you out even if you're doing your best. But you don't have a better bloody plan than to do your best, and it tends to work a lot better than you think. And what's so interesting about the hierarchies that people set up is that that's how they're set up. They're not set up on power. They're set up on reciprocity.
Hierarchies are not set up on power? Then how are hierarchies defended? Without power, a hierarchy is just someone being like, I'm cooler than you. That's it. Hierarchies are nothing without power. What a fucking delusional, idiotic, moronic fucking take, dude. What's he saying? This is my problem, Jordan. You asked for specific reasons. I provided them. Instead of acknowledging my response, you retract further into your bubble of flatterers and devotees. Talking of how you schooled me on cancel culture. You didn't school me, Jordan. Your room is as messy as your mind. God damn, dude. My man is fucking popping off, dude. This gets so much worse. This gets so much worse. In my industry, if you can't cut it on the labor side, you get moved to a desk for more pay. If wealth was the inevitable result of hard work and enterprise, every woman in Africa will be a millionaire. Not just, or like literally everyone fucking born in an Indian slum would currently be the richest person on the planet. Clearly, meritocracy is a lie, and probability is a significantly larger factor in how successful you are going to become than anything else. You sure like the word psychotic, Monka? Yes, I am a profoundly ableist individual. I don't know if you knew this or not. How people think babies cry, how babies actually cry. Isn't your zip code literally number one predictor for future success? Yup. Anyway, literally I'm a software engineer, and the people in my company squads who are higher up the ladder make exponentially more money than me to write exponentially less code with every step up the ladder you go. Yes, that's why it's a laughable notion that like a company cannot operate without a CEO. No, the company can actually never operate without a worker. The company absolutely can operate without a CEO though. That is the hilarious part about it, is that like, sure, is there some level of organization necessary, like a managerial position? Absolutely. Are there more democratic ways of choosing who that fucking manager is supposed to be? Also, absolutely. But there is no way a company can work without the laborer, without the wage laborer. That's it. There is no value without labor. That's it. That's the truth. None. You can try to justify paying people less by saying labor is replaceable. Labor is replaceable. It's not important. But ultimately, you're still replacing laborers with other laborers, okay? And it's deeply cruel and inhumane to justify paying less than living wages, okay, to human beings because other people could take that job in their stead.
Reciprocity and skill and trust. Not always. And if you're in a job where you work hard and you're a good guy and you're doing your best and your boss is a bloody tyrant and you never get a break, it's like, okay, fine. You're in a Foucault world. Get the hell out of it.
You're in a Foucault world.
Get your resume set up. Write your CV.
Wait. He said Foucault. He didn't say fucko. I think he was talking about Foucault, right? Like the French philosopher. But the guy thought he was saying fucko. I don't even know how like Foucault works in the situation. Like, is he saying it's like a prison? Like, I don't really know what he means by like you're living in a fucking Foucault world.
Fill in the educational gaps that you have. Send out your 25 resumes a day and prepare to make a lateral move because you're in a bad place. But almost everywhere, and this has certainly been the case virtually everywhere I've worked, and I've had like 50 jobs.
What is the part where we get goosebumps? Because I can't. Like, I'm listening very carefully, and I've yet to have a single goosebump.
If you go above and beyond the call of duty in an awake and intelligent way, interpersonally, socially, with regards to the diligence of your work, with regards to the truth of your attitude and your courage and all of that, that will work. And if you try it for a year and it doesn't work, then go.
Is Ethan getting JP to come on Leftovers, and would you mind it? Dude, I would love that. Why are people so surprised by this? I would love to talk to JBP. 3-4 years ago, I never would have thought that I would have the opportunity. Right now, I legitimately do have the opportunity. I'm very excited for it.
Go somewhere else, because you can, right? You're free. I mean, it's not easy.
Oh, wow. Ultimately, by the way, his argument is still reduced to, oh, are you in a dead-end fucking job? Just go get a job somewhere else, sweaty. Like, it's that fucking simple, dude. This is the incredibly frustrating fucking reality that, like, ultimately, when you arrive at any sort of prescriptive solution, your argument devolves into, oh, are you homeless? Just buy a home. Do you not like your job? Just get a job somewhere else that pays more. Just slide on the Indeed slider to $75,000 a month, bucko. Or $75,000 a year. Sorry, I said a month. But maybe you should slide it to that.
Your attitude and your courage and all of that, that will work. And if you try it for a year and it doesn't work, then go somewhere else, because you can, right? You're free. I mean, it's not easy. You can't just walk out the door and instantly find another job, but you're not enslaved.
You quite literally are enslaved in a capitalist society to make these sorts of fucking decisions. Why? Because healthcare is not free. Healthcare is not universal. This is one of many different ways that a capitalist, hyper-capitalist society like the United States of America will trap you into a lifetime of destitute wage slavery. How do they do that? In order to become a more productive laborer, okay? In order to become a more productive worker, you go to college and you learn skills, okay? Technically, you're supposed to be. Or you go to a trade school and you learn skills. Regardless, you're learning something, right? And then in that process, maybe you're fortunate enough to be able to get a job. But before you get to that point, now you've taken on debt, okay? You have now taken on a profound amount of debt to better yourself, to have more skills, to become a more productive laborer. In comparison to other countries, the amount of debt you've taken is profound. It is sizable. It is vast. Now you have to pay off that debt. So now you're in the debt trap, okay? How do you pay off that debt? Well, you have to actually get a job. What if you don't have any good jobs? Because all the good jobs are taken by those who were recipients of intergenerational wealth and legacy admissions into these institutes of higher learning that are, way better at networking. All the good jobs are taken. So what do? You take a job wherever you can. Now, that job is not paying you well, but you think, hey, this is short term. I can do whatever like, I will eventually get a good job, but like, I have to start paying this fucking debt. So now you took a job that is not even helpful. Okay. Now you took a job that is not even applicable to the technical skills that you learned, or the skills that you learned, or whatever your specialty was, right? So now you are paying you're paying the debt that you were saddled with because you want to become a more productive worker by taking on a job that is not paying you adequate wages. Okay. Now you have to do that, except just switch your job, right? If you're lucky enough, that job also offers you benefits in the form of healthcare. Now you are completely trapped. Make a decision. Move away from that job. Move away into a different sector where your applicable skill sets are worthwhile. How will you do that? What are you going to do? Go for potentially months without pay? Go for potentially months without healthcare? What happens if you get into a car accident? What happens if you get sick? Now you are saddled with even more debt. Now you are even in a worse condition than you were beforehand. Now you definitely have to take that fucking job that you did not want to take. This is the reality for the overwhelming majority of the working class in this day and age. This is the new generation. Okay? And this is by design. Other countries do not saddle you with debt just for the sake of becoming a more productive worker. Other countries also do not trap you into whatever job that you had to take, that you were forced to take to survive and to pay off that debt with the marriage of healthcare and the job that you have. Now you're fucked. And it's completely outside of your power. Okay? And not only that, but for the average worker, that budget shortfall is built into your existence. And that is by design, because as Jordan Peterson also correctly pointed out, when talking about the guy who had Parkinson's and the other guy who was absolutely bloody wrecked by a motorcycle incident, okay? Someone has to keep the lights on. Someone has to clean the toilets. Now, there are two different methods of doing this: by positive reinforcement, by making you understand that you are valuable, that you have a stake in ownership in the business itself. And that's precisely why you understand it's like, you know, owning your own house or whatever, where you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to clean my fucking living space because I want to live in a cleanly living space. Or by putting the fear of God into you, that if you don't actually go and take on that job when you fucking clean the toilets, or take on that job where you are, you know, working on a power line, despite the fact that you are, severely disabled, and it's actually gruesome work, backbreaking labor that you normally should not be engaging in. Because otherwise, you will never put food on the table. You will never pay that debt, and your life will get shittier and shittier and shittier year after year. That is the unfortunate reality of capitalism for the overwhelming majority of the working class. Okay? It's just by design. This is the way that this system is designed. So whenever I hear people talk about, like, just change your job, fucko, that is the rantings of an incredibly privileged individual who has never had to face that struggle, that scary reality that, like, what if this doesn't work out for me?
You could make a move. You could even decide that you're going to make a move and double your salary. You know, it's not a bad goal, and it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, you could.
It's like, it is.
You also could go back to square one, where you don't have a job, and now you don't have health care either. And now you are renting, so you have to pay rent. How are you going to pay that?
It isn't hierarchy. It's ethics that determines success in a functional society. It's
also bullshit. All of the top wealthiest individuals are not known for their ethics or their code of conduct. It's about how predatory they are willing to be. It is quite the opposite. If you are to ascribe a moral value to capitalism, which is simply just the organization of the economy, but most people do ascribe a moral value to it, they think it's bad. The people at the tippy top are those who are willing to be predatory. I could be a fuckload more predatory in the way that I operate. For example, now that I am someone who has actually made money, I see it every fucking day. I see it in every decision that I make. A decision to work with union-made domestic manufacturers means that your profit margin is going to be slim. Okay? It's simple. And many people decide to not do that because they're like, why the fuck would I? Of course I'm going to work with a drop shipping company in China. Okay? Of course. Why the fuck not? Of course I'm going to cut corners everywhere I can. Why the fuck not? I personally think that that's unethical. And if you were to ask people individually how they feel about it, they would also think that that's unethical. But people don't want to do that. People don't want to make these ethical decisions. Time to lift the L's of embargo. My karma farmers are down 28% in net karma and are losing Reddit Cloud and various discords. Please come to the negotiation table and discuss this. You'll see there's valid points on both sides. Please be less hypocritical and spread the karma wealth.
Ethics that determines success, not power. The rest of it's a bloody lie. And that doesn't mean that all our systems are perfectly ethical. You know, you got to be awake. If you're in a system, there's going to be some corruption in it. Part of what you're supposed to do is keep your damn eyes open for the corruption and your mouth speaking truth. So when the corruption starts to take root, you object to it so the whole damn system doesn't turn into a pathological...
Yeah, except when people do actually recognize that and do choose to speak out against that corruption in our unjustifiable system that is built upon unjustifiable hierarchies, then you say, clean your room and fix your own fucking bed, bucko, before you start casting stones from your glass house. This notion that Jordan Peterson is actually pro sticking it to the fucking man and fighting back against the systems is just false.
Logical power play. And that's part of your ethical responsibility as a conscious being, an ethical being, a religious being for that matter, and a citizen. You know? And you're charged with that. That's why you vote. That's why you're the cornerstone of your state, man. You're the what would you call? You're the wellspring of the ethical actions that replenish the dying world. That's what you are.
I gotta pee. I'll be back.
And if you act, that's what you are. And if you act that out properly, then things work. And that's why that's always been described as ethical behavior. It's not because you're supposed to be good, you know, and being good isn't that easy anyways. And it certainly doesn't mean being nice and harmless. It's not an easy thing to be good. You have to be tough as a damn boot to be good, because you have to stand your ground when you need to stand your ground. And you have to be able to say no when it's time to say no. And you have to mean it. And so then you have to think and plan strategically so that when you're going to say no, you can mean it and it will stick. You know, and that takes a certain amount of integrated malevolence, I would say. And once it's integrated, it's not malevolence, it's strength. It's strength of character. It's the ability to stand your ground. And you have to cultivate that. And you cultivate that at least in part by telling the truth. And so you take your place in the world as a decent person and as a decent citizen, and you play the hierarchical game properly. And that is to stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's like the world's an onslaught. You've got the tyranny of culture to deal with. You've got the catastrophe of nature. You've got your own damn malevolence and ignorance, right? All coming at you. Plus the incredible, complicated, indeterminate potential of the future. That's all coming at you. And it's all your responsibility. And you can cringe away from it and be afraid of it and be victimized by it and be bitter and cynical about it. And no wonder, because it can be painful.
Oh, he's now turning around and saying, like, after he said, unethical systems certainly exist, and what you are supposed to do is combat that with ethics, okay? But now he's saying, you know, but combating that is also you crying like a bitch.
Or you can turn around and you can say, man, bring it on, because there's more to me than there is to the catastrophe. And this is what I discovered from looking at...
It is the hyper-individualism that gets people, yes. And of course, hyper-individualistic attitudes are ones that are consistently reinforced in a hyper-capitalist society. It is the easiest way to dupe dumbasses into thinking that, like, they have the power as an individual. Do not get together. Do not engage in collective action. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. It's actually hyper individualism that helps you. No, hyper individualistic attitudes amongst the working class only helps those who own capital, okay? Because united, you bargain through collective bargaining. But divided, you beg. That's it.
What I looked at the darkest things I could look at, really, for 30 years. I was really a lot of fun to be around, I can tell you. I looked at the darkest things that I could think of, right? Not only what happened in Auschwitz and what happened in the Gulag, but personal issues. You know, it's like I wasn't so much interested in the totalitarians as a group. I was interested in the people who undertook the terrible acts that the totalitarians required. You know, the people who, I was just rereading Ordinary Men, and it was a story about a police battalion in Poland that trained ordinary policemen to take naked pregnant women out into the fields and shoot them in the back of the head. It takes a lot of training, by the way,
What is this?
before you can bring yourself to do that.
What is
and
this
you aren't
stock
the same
footage, bro?
person by the end of it. It's pretty goddamn horrific. You know, and I was trying to figure out what would it be like to be that person. Because we are that person.
Is this like a smiling casual Nazi? What the fuck?
And then what would it be like to not be that person, right? To refuse to do that, to not participate in that. You know, and what I discovered by making that totalitarian proclivity personal was that there's more to us than there is to the horror. Nature is bent on our destruction. Bad as culture is, tyrannical and bloody, back as far as you can look, as malevolent as you are in the darkest part of your heart, and that's plenty malevolent. The possibility that's within you that can well up, the courage and the truth and the ability and the skill and
oh God, this is why it's like, oh God, he just sucks so much. He is so fucking boring, dude. I'm sorry, okay? But this shit is so incredibly whack. He's just rambling on. And you really have to just think he's profound to be like, this word salad actually makes sense and is incredible, and it changed my mind. It's giving me goosebumps.
And the willingness to set things right, if you are willing to set them right, is more powerful than all of that. And so it's so interesting. It was proof for me of an old saying I read from Carl Jung. It's an alchemical motif, in stir qualinus inventur, which is what you most want to be found will be found where you least want to look.
Is this Lauren Southern crying because there's kebab shops in the UK? Lauren Southern, when she found out race mixing is legal.
Essentially. And it's so interesting because it means that if you're willing to turn around and to stand up, stand up straight and face the darkness like fully, what you discover at the darkest part is the brightest.
Oh my God, he's crying now. Okay, dude, I'm toxic. Straight up toxic masculinity. Bro, if you whip yourself up into a frenzy in your own bullshit word salad about, like, you know, it's only brightest, it's darkest before dawn, yada yada yada, you're a fucking huge weirdo and you should be made fun of, okay? I'm sorry.
Light. And that's something that's so much worth discovering, because there's going to be terrible darkness in your life. And it's going to make you cynical and bitter. And it could easily be that you're just not looking at it enough. Because if you looked at it enough and you didn't shy away and you brought everything you had to bear on it, you'd find that there was more to you than there was to the horror.
Bro, this is literally him talking about how he overcame apple cider killing him. It's like, you would think he's talking about like how he, I don't know, personally fucking liberated people from a concentration camp. But instead, he's just talking about him sipping on apple cider and almost dying. Okay? Like, what kind of profound, like, ethical decisions has Jordan Peterson had to make in his lifetime when faced with like incredibly unethical hierarchies that he's had to defeat by individually fucking, I don't know, figuring out a way to overcome oppression.
Drop what you're doing that's foolish, that you know is foolish, and pick an aim that's worthwhile, to make things better for yourself, like you're worth taking care of, like you're worth something, and to surround yourself with people who believe the same and who are rejoicing in your accomplishments and unhappy when you fail, right? And you're comparing yourself to your accomplishments
Jordan Peterson, when asked not to misgender a student,
of yesterday and not to someone else's today, so that you're not jealous and bitter, and you put your own house in order so that you're not cursed.
This is Jordan Peterson when someone told him that, like, women have access to birth control and therefore can, make decisions over their own bodies more effectively.
The world when some of its disarray might be your fault, and you're trying to pursue something meaningful, and you're doing your best to tell the truth and all of that, and then you see what happens. Who the hell are you? You think you're a miracle of some bloody bizarre.
What is your criticism for all the people he inspired to get out of a suicide-type mindset? I have epilepsy, and he helped me out with that mindset 100%, whether you believe it or not. I'm happy for you, considering that you have also found yourself in this community. Clearly, I would assume pre-watch KWJP would destroy you. What? JP, Jordan Peterson shredded him all the way since 2020. This is why Michael Jordan is a shitty human. In October 2020, Purdue farmer pled guilty. Oh God. Okay, maybe it didn't take. I love when people are like, I read Jordan Peterson and it took me off the verge of suicide, and it's like, that's just yet another fucking example that society has completely failed, right? Like, you were driven to the point of suicidal ideation, and you did not have the faculties and the institutions and the support system to help you out. So you actually fucking you were helped out by right-wing Kermit the Frog, basically telling you the exact same pop psychology bullshit that has been written in perpetuity a million times over. And now, because no one else has ever fucking helped you out in your entire life, okay, because no one else in the adequate, in a normal civilized society, in the adequate, the adequate organizations have not done anything, okay, to help you. Now you think this fucking dumbass is your savior. You saved yourself, okay? And you have a lot more, looking at your chat history, you have a lot more saving to do. But you can. You can get better. You've been duped by Jordan Peterson, though, my friend, unfortunately. We are going to watch MasterChef after this, yes. JP helped me get out of the depression mindset too. I own his book and everything. I still find all criticism toward him very valid. I'm not interested in following him any longer. Yes, the reality is that Jordan Peterson's pop psychology garbo, which is not unique to Jordan Peterson, is tried and true strategies to better your life and improve yourself. I do not have a problem, and I personally also regularly, routinely advocate to set short-term goals for yourself that will then ultimately achieve long-term goals that you set for yourself. And that is a good thing that, small successes throughout your day will genuinely improve your mindset. You can kickstart your day by making your bed. That is true. But that does not change the reality that Jordan Peterson also is trying to subtly red pill you into seeing the world through his eyes. Okay? And it's not an accident that a lot of people that get caught up in that, okay, get caught up in that because they like have actually used his pop psychology, understandable cliche talking points that you could have read anywhere else, then find themselves believing that society is at fault for their personal failures, which is hilarious. It's actually women not wanting to fuck you that is the problem, right? If we only lived in a more traditionalist society, then women would be forced to, take your hand in marriage. He's literally seeking out vulnerable people in their worst moments and giving them an antidote not to kill themselves. But that antidote also comes along with, by the way, that's not a 100% situation, but that antidote also comes along with a fuckload of red-pilled nonsense. And Jordan, regarding cancel culture, the only thing that has ever guided me is my own moral compass. Everything else is just noise. The mob is free to cancel me as it will. And they have plenty of times. And actually canceling it, as you call it, sometimes a good experience, as painful as it is. The times when I receive the most flack on things I've said are the times when I've learned the most about myself and the world and how to be more mindful and caring of others. It's not always a call for defensiveness and shrinking. There is always growth to be had. I will speak to people I trust that challenge me. You, on the other hand, surround yourself with yes men. Growth is human. Yeah. But the people that need to hear this, the people that need to fucking hear this desperately, okay, are the very same people that routinely refuse to hear it and will just keep posting like old clips of Ethan and be like, you fucking suck, shut up. And then there's guys like this. I think it'd be very productive to have a conversation with H3H3 Productions and myself on our show Leftovers. You can clarify your stances at Jordan Peterson. This guy goes, Hasan can't talk with someone with a decent understanding of politics by himself. Lol. Like, if Jordan Peterson, according to this globe emoji guy, Jordan Peterson is not a person with a decent politics understanding? Like, what the fuck? At that point, it's like the only person that person wants me to talk to is his favorite Twitch streamer. That's it. No one else. Just his favorite irrelevant Twitch streamer. Okay? And it's also fucking hilarious. Like, yeah, dude, it's not like I need Ethan to be there to talk to Jordan Peterson. It's just that Jordan Peterson will never talk to me one-on-one. Without Ethan being there. And he might not even talk to Ethan either because I'm there. Pretty sure he's insinuating you couldn't take JPB on without a helper. I would love for the opportunity to talk to Jordan Peterson without anyone. You know, irrelevant Twitch streamer dunks on an unverified Twitter user. Hey, the 37,000 people, including yourself, Mac Lover, certainly is relevant enough that you're choosing to spend your time here instead of doing anything else that you could literally be doing right now.